Something strange has been happening in our skies, and reports of UFOs are flooding in from every corner of the globe. Are we finally on the verge of uncovering the truth, or is there more to this than meets the eye? From jaw-dropping sightings to theories that will challenge everything we've known to be true. This is the cosmic conversation that you've been waiting for. Are you ready to connect? Let's go. I'm your host, Courtney Kane Sides, here on Cosmically Connected. Hey friend, thank you so much for being here. You are watching Cosmically Connected. Yes, with your host, Courtney Kane Sides. Guys, we're going to have a deep dive into all of the encounters that we are seeing. If you're on social media, you're watching the news, there's so many reports globally of contact, right? Of people seeing and having experiences and witnessing different things that maybe they can't explain, but it's happening so often. And it's becoming, something that we really, they can't hide any longer. So guys, thank you for being with me. I want to say thank you to you guys for tuning in. And like every time we tune in live, do me a favor, put in this comment section where you are watching from. I always love seeing what countries, what cities, what states you're watching. And who knows, maybe you're watching from a place that there have been reports here lately. We're going to go all over some of those. I see you guys chiming in. There's Janet. Hi, Janet. Terrian says aliens are definitely here. Yes, right. Dr. Strange, my friend, thank you for being here. We've got New York in the house. Yep, New York's on my list. We've got Colorado on the list. That's right. Texas, guys, New Jersey. There are so many reports coming in from your different areas. And by the way, I see a location I never see, and this is a place I have stayed often, Cottonwood, Arizona, just down the hill from Jerome, Arizona, one of my favorite little ghost towns. So guys, thank you for being here tonight. And again, we're going to get into the subject of all of these different sightings popping up globally around the world. We've got people in high prominent positions that are witnessing these crafts, call them drones, call them UAPs. It is, all of those different descriptions, call them what you want. We are having contact happen. So guys, thank you again so much. We are here every Wednesday connecting with you on multiple topics. And I want to encourage you, if this is something that you know is going to speak to you, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that share and that like, and also share it with a friend. One more thing. Do me a favor when we're done, and please follow my own personal account at Cosmically Connected with Courtney Kane Sides here on YouTube. So let's list the locations, my friends. I've even made a list. Washington, D.C., many crafts, many different crafts that were hovering and all over that state, right? We were having contact in Texas. We were having, we were having contact in Arizona. We were having contact in Colorado. But we had something happen in New Jersey. How many of you guys are from New Jersey? Give me an emoji. I saw a couple of you guys coming in here tonight. If you were there, you've probably already seen the news, right? How many of you seen the different descriptions that were coming in? Yes, just yesterday about the witnesses that were seeing these different crafts. They were calling them drones coming in. And these drones were as large as small vehicles. What's really interesting to me is as I've done the research, as I've tuned in to this energy and felt the energy of what's actually happening, is it, yes, governmental? Is this extraterrestrial? Is this multidimensional? We're going to dive into all of that tonight. But the situation in New Jersey last night, so many witnesses were calling into the police station, calling into the news stations, so much that the FBI, the state police, and even Homeland Security in the area, they were getting involved. They're going around and asking for reports from so many people that had these experiences because they too, of course, are trying to get down to what in the world's actually happening. How many people are seeing these? Are they experiencing the same things? Are they, what are they viewing on their end versus what, another person's witness account is? And what was interesting, again, was the crafts, what I'm finding, are a bit different at all of these locations. And so the particular crafts that I saw coming through in New Jersey from my research, they were triangular shaped crafts. Some of these witnesses even described these crafts as planes. They thought that they were planes coming through. Thera says, I think ET is monitoring nuclear weapons. I think you're a smart one, my friend. I think you are. And, once they notice that these planes or these drones, whatever you want to call them, were also, they would stop and then they would hover. That is when you even hear some of the videos of people taking videos of their own accounts. You can hear the fear rise in their voice. And we're going to get into that in just a bit, right? We're going to get into that psychological, what that does to us when we have an experience. It changes us. So stay tuned. We're going to deep dive into that in just a little bit of it, right? But what's really interesting to me is this is happening so often. And now you have mainstream media, which I don't know about you guys. I'm more into the independent journalists these days. But the media is covering this widespread. And they're all reporting it. And to me, it also seems as though they are playing into a narrative, if you will, right? How many of you question when you hear now that it's being welcomed, right? The idea, the disclosure, all of that. Now, as soon as the government starts to back it, are you like, questioning these experiences, right? I know I am. I think so. Diamond says, I saw a really clear video on third phase of the moon. I think they had a phone like mine because that close-up was amazing. Wow. And FD Oxygen says, is this project Bluebeam? Interesting. And Diamond also just said, but it doesn't shock me that they are real, right? So we're going to go into so many different layers tonight. So that New Jersey, I encourage you guys, if you haven't seen on your local news or in the way your independent journalists, wherever you find your news, if you haven't heard of the situation in New Jersey, or there was witness accounts in New York City, LA, let me name some of the places here in the last few weeks, some in the last few days, but we've got LA, we've got Manchester, England, and we're going to get to that one in just a second. That was quite a interesting experience. We're going to go there. And then we've got, again, Texas, we've got Florida, we've got South America. This is happening from all over the place. And again, what's interesting, I'm going to hit that information again, is that people are experiencing the same things all over, yet they're also having other crafts all over as well. So what I'm finding is some of them are, somebody just said triangular. Yeah, witness. I am eyewitness of orbs and triangular shape UFO above Carlow Town, Ireland, my home. Hi, my friend Peter. Thank you for being here. Yes, some of those reports here lately, they are round circular craft and UAPs and can move quite quickly, right? Which does not really match anything that we know that our government has, which I'm sure that they have those crafts, but it's not something that we've been made aware of, right? But some of those other crafts are a triangular shape with multiple lights, different colors of lighting, but can also take off quite quickly. Now, this Manchester incident, Nala 7777 said, I normally see them in threes in a triangular pattern. Yeah, it's so interesting. How many of you, give me an emoji tonight in those comments, how many of you have had an experience with witnessing? I'm not talking about anything other than just witnessing a craft or witnessing a UAP. Raise your hand or raise your hand. Put a comment in that section. Say me, or put an emoji for me. Okay. So this Manchester event, this was a circular craft, a circular UAP. And a pilot actually took video of this. And this craft very, very quickly took off through the sky, right? It was hovering for a few moments and then just darted very quickly through the sky. And then actually landed. Listen to this. It landed at the Manchester airport. Landed. This circular object, my friends, at the airport. You can look this up. I encourage you to do your homework, okay? And look at all the me's. Look at all the emojis coming in. Many of you guys have seen and had your own experiences here. I have as well. And when we have them, very often we're never the same. We understand that something's different. It shakes us in a way. It shakes us to our core. It shakes our belief system as well. So this craft, as it landed, of course, people were, shocked. It's an airport. There's a lot of security issues there, right? So as security approached this UAP, it shot straight back, directly straight back into the air and into the sky. Now this vehicle, this UAP, was also, the report is that it was as big as a small car. What's interesting to me is that is being described all over the world. It's not just in Manchester. It's not just in New York City. It's in California. It's in Colorado. It's all over the place that this is now popping up. I think that it's a really beautiful and healthy thing to view these experiences with some groundedness, right? When we jump on board and we get really, really excited about it, listen, this is a really interesting time. There is information coming out that has never been disclosed to us, right? We are, yes, in that age of Aquarius. Things are changing. The world is really no longer what it used to be, right? And so, of course, it makes sense for all of these things to come to the light. I'm like, it's interesting. I wrote down on my notes, Idaho boom. We're going to talk about that. Anybody know about the Idaho boom? Well, that's another podcast. We're going to do that on a different day, right? Who all hears or has known anything about that? We're going to get into that in time. Now, the craft that just showed up in North Carolina, how many of you are in North Carolina? Just give me an NC if you're from North Carolina. Approximately, this has been in the last few days, last 3 or 4 days that this happened. Approximately 20 UAPs, UFOs, flying in unison at a very high speed, a very, very high speed. Look, we've got a few of you in here, my friends, coming through. Eyewitnesses, not just one, not just two, very solid eyewitnesses seeing these craft. Now, is this actually happening? My belief system, and some will say that, I say my belief system, I'm working through what I believe, right? I can tell you how it feels to me. What I can tell you is like there's good and bad people. There's good and not so good extraterrestrials, right? Or other beings, let's call it that. So often I want to say be careful what you wish for because you just might get it, right? It's also very interesting as a species, as a human species, how many of you feel also numb in a way that we're not shocked Give me an emoji, give me a heart, give me a hand raised, give me something. How many of you don't feel shocked that this is now coming out? And now that they're finally disclosing, you're a little over it, maybe even, right? How many of you have said, I've been doing my homework for the last 47, 20 years, whatever it is, right? And maybe you're finally, Kindle says not shocked at all, right? I know. It's funny because those of us, we look crazy until we no longer look crazy. 20 years later, all the things that we felt were true before it falls into place, and we're like, oh, we were right all along, right? So I encourage you guys to use your own discernment when you're reading, when you're watching videos, when you're learning, when you're researching, when you're diving in. I want you to come back to your own gut and your own knowledge, your own basis. Margaret says not shocked. No. And so is that also part of the deal, right? Some would say that this is Project Bluebeam. It is a way to almost make the people believe that we are under, yes, an invasion or a situation, an attack where we're all going to have to, where the government or the higher ups, the elites, they're going to swoop in and save us, if you will, right? Have a reason for us to come all in as one and come together. I don't really believe that we're going to allow that to happen. But could that be happening? Sure. Somebody said CKS, thank you, my friend. Anytime I see CK, it makes me think of my father. So my friend, let me go up here real quick and see who you are. BCJR11, thank you, my friend. He says, this is real and beyond our control. Yes, and thank you so much for being here, my friend. And somebody else said 40 years of study. Listen, we're here to experience. We're here to learn. We're here to evolve. We're here to grow. And we're here to speak from a place of truth and also not be ridiculed. This is the thing. For so many years, there have been so many people who have been witnessing and experiencing these things that are now on, yes, mainstream media. And many have been closeted because you were so made to feel like you were crazy. You couldn't even tell your families. Think of the families that have been ripped apart because they were hiding this multidimensional type connection from the world. It blows my mind, right? So interesting. And so if we have the understanding that we are, yes, not alone, I think it's quite important to make sure that we are finding community and people that we can share in this experience. We can understand that we can have very thought-provoking and educational, very even factual conversations about it, right? What are the facts? The facts are people are seeing these UAPs, UFOs, call them whatever you want, in the sky. They're having their own experiences, and they're doing their own research. That is what we know to be true. Mario says, as long as we are connected, we will grow. We just need to feed ourselves with good information. I agree, my friend. Mass says the UAP haven't instigated anything. So far, we look like the bad ones, which is concerning. So what's interesting is some will say that for now, UAPs, some of the different beings will park their craft in a place where we can actually see it, right? In a place where it will numb us. See, I mean, that disclosure happened, over a year ago with Stephen Greer and all of that, right? How many of you, I'm sure all of you were aware and watching all of that, good information. But what's interesting to me is it comes out a little bit at a time, so that in a way we're not so shocked and maybe even as fearful as we might be when the information all comes out, right? There's not mass chaos. It comes out and people are so exhausted, right? They've been through so much. We've all been through so much in the last few years, right? That the information comes out. And if this was 20, 40 years ago, my friends, can you imagine the chaos that could have ensued, right? Margaret says, the water, I bet it's like space. My friends, that deep, deep water. Let me tell you, I don't have many fears in my life, but deep, deep water. Ooh, my friend. I'll do it. I'll go on boats. I'll do the whole ski thing, but I'm hyperventilating the whole way through. Nella says, absolutely, space is water, and I agree, my friend. So I want you guys to start asking yourself, what does this feel like to you? Does this feel good? Does this feel nerve-wracking? Does this feel as though the contact is going to be for good? I'm a firm believer, to take a breath in, exhale it out, that I still can protect my energy. Know that I'm protected in the light, source, God, universe, and that I'm the boss of my energy, right? Having an understanding that there are other beings out there, we're also well equipped, I'm telling you, my friends, to elevate to a certain mindset, telepathic communication, and knowing. And I do believe that many of them are, of course, much more advanced creatures and beings than we are. But I believe we have the capacity to go there, right? I do believe that many of them are showing us and trying to protect us from ourselves, right? Show us what love looks like. And the other side of that are, I believe, ones that would like to have a testing ground here. And some would say this is a prison planet. How many of you have heard that, right? So even that this has been maybe a testing ground on us humans. Very interesting. I think so much information is going to be rising to the surface in time. It's going to take a little bit. Many people believe that there's going to be direct contact a bit after the election. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about that just yet. Interesting. Just question the why now of it now. Or I think what you're asking is why now? Stephen Ross said one consciousness. I believe that the world has shifted. Melissa just answered it. It's the age of Aquarius. The world has shifted. And people are understanding that they can connect and rise in their own consciousness. They can connect to, I call it nothing but the highest, truest, or the best, right? That Christ consciousness, that light, that universal connection and love. We literally are all one within that light. And the world has shifted. Melissa says she felt the shift. How many of you felt the shift? Do me a favor and give me an emoji for the shift. And when we start to evolve in that way, it is time for the world as we know it to fall apart, right? And so many of you in your homes, in your lives, in your relationships, we're seeing different relationships fall apart, aren't we? We're seeing connections fall away. And I just described this to Ethan, my person this morning. I said I believe it's the Japanese or the Chinese culture that when, a vase or something beautiful breaks, they put all the pieces back together with gold, right? And I believe that this is a time for us to be, after this all breaks apart, this system, this thing that is not going to quite work out in the way that they'd like it to. We are now here to build this back together, create that higher consciousness, and come back and understand that we are, yes, one. BC says, as humans, we already have so much strength within us. We just are not shown how to tap into what we are born with. Shift indeed. Yes. And so I believe that the good higher beings are here to hold space for us and show us care and love and connection, right? But again, the other, I'm a firm believer that the other is working in tandem with the elites here. Call me crazy, my friend, but that is what I believe, okay? Just as though there is light, there is dark, right? But we can shift this into a higher form where the light prevails. And I do believe that that is exactly what this is about. Renee says, I'm an Aquarius and I felt the shifting. I am also an Aquarius, my friend. I love it. Ryan says, if people being paranoid, let me go back to you. If people are being paranoid in angst, always subjected for one reason or another, it's created the not known. Albeit subconsciously, now we can all realize we have an instrument. There we go. Oh, Johnson says, time has definitely changed. We are waking up. I believe all that are say that. I think what we are saying. It is really interesting. So I do believe that the reason we're seeing this craft is because the time is now. It's overdue, actually. I think that they have been, working in tandem with the government, call it even the shadow government. Dare I say that word here, right? And I believe that the craft coming is a craft that says that we're no longer allowing this to continue. That's my belief. How do you feel, my friends? I want to hear that. So interesting. And Weird Matter says it's a Matrix type situation. And George says UFO were protectors against invaders. Go to Wikipedia. Yes, many of us have had experience, and so let's go into that. Now, it's really interesting to me. I remember I've always had a firm knowing. I had a experience when I was younger. I've talked about it on the podcast before. I'm not going to go into it now, but a very alarming experience. It was not something that I walked away being really excited about. It was actually extremely traumatizing. And you will find that many people who have experiences, they go within, they don't want to tell anybody because they're so-called normal people, and they don't feel comfortable with sharing because they understand exactly the way it's going to be perceived, right? So that story, there were two people in my family that knew it, my mother and my sister. Nobody else ever knew that story. And then it was years later, had an experience in Arizona, and then another experience where my now ex-husband saw it first. We were not together. We were on the same road, but a mile apart from each other. We were both coming home from work, and he was calling me, do you see it? Do you see it? Like saying, see what? He says, look up, look up. I looked up, and there was the triangular craft. It looked as though it was as large as two city, like Phoenix blocks, 2 city blocks. It was massive. That was shocking, sure. And for me, I was like, oh my gosh, confirmation. Now for him, analytical left brain, executive, that took him into a frenzy of confusion, of shock, I would even say grief. So I believe that the world wasn't ready then. This was at least 15 years ago, maybe even 16 years ago. It's been a while. And that experience shook him. He became, dare I say, a prepper. He did all of those things because he was terrified. It scared him. And so I do believe that because of the movies we've been fed, because the information, the blogs, even the YouTube pages, the podcast, all of it, we've been a little bit more desensitized to the idea of having this contact, right? And so why are they visiting us? I believe they're visiting us for us to pull it together, to get it right. They're visiting us saying, if we don't handle it, they will. And I don't know that we'll like it if they have to. Got it? It's very interesting. Jamie said, did it have lights on each side with no sound? It did, Jamie. It did. I was doing lots of radio shows back then, and I was on one in particular. I did lots of conspiracy radio shows, which I've always loved. And, you know, their idea of that was more of like a governmental craft then, but it was something, it was unexplainable. It was a UAP for us, and it was quite shocking. And Jamie just said she saw one of those just a few weeks ago. It is very shocking when we have this experience. Some say that disclosure is coming because climate, you know, the climate is shifting, of course, and the mass attention is needed for this next phase of what we're moving into. And I want to chat real quick about the psychological impacts of that. Like I was saying with my ex-husband, it sent him into a shock. And it sent him into something that felt so terrifying to him, that is also why we needed even more time so that the public could understand that. I think have so many things happen too, that we're all tired and exhausted, right? We're all ready to exhale. And so if we're hoping that will put the end to the 9-to-5 job anyway. How many of you have seen those memes that say, oh my gosh, does this mean I have to go to work today? Do I have to get dressed? Can I stay home? It's almost funny how ready people are for this massive shift to be made. And on that note, guys, often I have my friend here, and we're going to bring him up tonight, Roderick Martin, my friend. Roderick, hey, friend.
How's it going? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, all right, because I'm having a little...
Oh, a little bit. You are a little lower than normal, maybe.
All right, give me a second here.
Okay, actually, you're perfect on my end now. Maybe it was just me. I just turned you up.
What about now? Is that better? Hello?
Perfect. And Weird Matter just said, I'm ready, my Lord. Here I am. Yes, that is exactly how everybody's hearing right now. Right. So my friend, we're talking about all of these crafts that we're seeing all over the world right now, right?
Okay. All right.
And we just got to the part where we're talking about the psychological implications that this is having. Now, I know, first of all, that you're an expert. I love you, my friend. You and I are great buddies. And I know that you've had that line for people to call you for a while now, right? Years, maybe even. I'm not sure.
Yep. I have a hotline.
Yeah, where people can call and share. And do you find that they're under psychological distress or what when they're calling after they've had these experiences?
Yeah, I think all the time, most people are under this type of distress because it's the unthinkable, the incomprehensible, something that they have no answers for, no solutions to. And I think that it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. And I think that's also the problem, as I will allude to, where even in relationships where people are sharing it with their loved ones about something they've seen or this experience, and the other one don't get it because you can't comprehend it. This is not a standard, I saw a black cat or a ghost. This is just because our minds can't wrap ourselves around the whole thing. This is why I always say your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. And I don't care what you see if your mind is not open to it or something. But yeah, people do get a little distressed all the time. I've had people that has been dealing with stuff for 20 years, emotionally. So
I believe that you and I have spoken about my experience when I was a young girl. I was in, first, second, third grade. I cannot remember even how old I was, but I was really young. And it was so jarring that even as an adult, my twin sister made fun of me essentially my entire life and would bring it up and be like, ha, 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 this little thing. And she thought it was funny. To me, it was absolutely traumatic.
Right.
And it's interesting. I did a podcast about it, came out of the closet really with it a little over 2 years ago now. And that felt freeing, but you still feel naked in that vulnerability,
Absolutely.
Because you do. And somebody said you feel, I believe it was just, let me see see, it went so fast. You feel scared when you don't know. It was something like that. Let me find that real quick. And I can't see it any longer. Those comments come by so quickly, guys. And by the way, we so appreciate you all for being here. But if you don't understand, it scares you. The thing is I do understand. I understand it. I'm in this business, if you will, and have been for over 20 years. The experience I had did not feel good. I know that. Even with all of the education I've had with it, I've researched so much through my years, even before jumping into, the business that I'm in. And it didn't fit. That was not because they were wanting to connect on a higher conscious level with me. It felt like research to them. It was not cool. And so I believe that we have both sides of that spectrum when contact is being made. Do you find that that's when you hear an eyewitness account, or when somebody is calling to share with you, my friend, do you feel like you see that it's more a positive and they're so interested in it and they're fascinated? Or do you find that it's more that they're in it was a frightening experience type of thing?
I wrote this in my book that's coming up, that it's not so much of frightening. And like I said, we all are afraid of what we don't understand, just quite naturally. So I always rule out that particular situation of them being afraid, because they're trying to grab a understanding. So typically that's what you're going to run into, especially in all of these scenarios where people have these encounters, especially the ones who felt or feel that they've been abducted during these scenarios. So when they call me, because I am an investigator and a UFO investigator, and have done this for years and been on 9 different TV shows, History Channel's Ancient Aliens, I was featured there last year. And so I think they're looking for what I call, do you believe me? And so I wrote this in my book, and what I've learned over the years of so many of these phone calls, and people say, well, Rodri, don't you believe it? And I've heard so many things. And so I don't lie to them and say, I have not heard. So what I've developed is that saying to everyone is, I believe you believe what you saw. Therefore, I'm going to go on a journey with you. Let's talk about it. Because most people lie and say, yeah, I believe, when you really don't comprehend it. But if you love the person who's talking to you, or you respect the people you're hearing it from, and you see they're emotional and their whole thing, how they are dealing with this, then I've learned to say, I believe you believe what happened to you, and therefore. So if you, Courtney, you said, Rodri, there is a leprechaun behind that dang on dumpster over there. And then you're going to say, do you see the rainbow? I can see it. And I'm like, no. Now, some people, because they're your loved ones, are going to say, well, yeah, Courtney, I see it. They don't see it. They're lying. And then you can sense that too. Yeah. So you're saying, Rodri, there's a leprechaun behind there. And so what I'm going to look you straight in the eye as my sister and say, Courtney, I believe you believe it's over there, and therefore I'm going with you. You get what I'm saying? So which is love. And so that's what I have developed over all of these things, because some things I can't comprehend what they're saying. Now I will corroborate, to say, well, I've heard this scenario a dozen times, so the odds of this happening to you is highly likely. Okay. I've done, from statistical data, this is going on. Oh, what you just said is not far-fetched. This happens all the time. So I will confirm to them that what they see, feel, or done is, you're not crazy. You get what I'm saying? No, you're not crazy. Because that's what they want to know. Are they crazy? And they're not crazy.
My journal, when I started to connect, and I see so many people are talking about telepathic communication. Let's talk about that tonight, by the way. When I started to realize that I had different gifts, and a lot of those gifts, I will say, heightened after that first experience when I was a little girl. Olympian said, watch out, a leprechaun. That's right. But so I used to call my journal, I still call it, all my clients, every time I teach a development class, all of that, I call it the I'm Not Crazy book. And I think we should have enough skepticism with ourselves to want to find proof, facts and proof. Even though I'm in the world of spirituality and metaphysics and connection to loved ones on the other side, most people would assume I was so far woo-woo that there was no groundedness and facts in it, whereas that's not the case with the sessions I provide. But it's because I've done the work to heal and to get down deep where the connection is true. I am a firm believer that we can all connect telepathically. In my sessions, I paint in each private session that I do with a client.
I was going to bring my painting in here to show everybody sitting over there, but I didn't bring it.
Oh, yay. I love it. See, Rod's had a session before. Good. Mm-hmm. The thing is with that, so I've always said I feel so much that I feel in color. It is because I already telepathically pick up on the energy. And I actually get quite exhausted with having to find words. You and I were talking earlier about some other topic, and you were like, well, I can hear the pause. And I said, well, no, Rodri, it's just taken me a second. Sometimes it's like I wish I had a microphone to just put at the top of my head so that you could just feel it and get it all. Because there's the true connection, and the language messes it up, my friends. It messes it up. And that's actually why we're fighting. That's actually why there's a division, is because we're not feeling each other's heart and soul. If we did that, we would understand purely where another person was coming from. John Lucas just said empathy, and that's exactly it. And so that telepathy, I do believe, is one of those things that we will get to, and maybe that's another reason why they're coming here, is to show us the way, right?
No.
You tell us. You tell us why. Tell us why.
I now, after all of the years of doing what I'm doing, or I have done what I've done and continue to do what I'm doing, from the military side of things, I'm now starting to understand clearly why the cover-up has been so intensive over the last 70 years, 100 years. It has to be. And there's so much things that are far beyond, especially now that I'm doing my the CIA Hemi-Sync out-of-body experience, and I actually have their program. And so I speak about reptilian alien. I'm going to just divert.
Yes, please.
Take a detour, but I'll get back on. So I speak about reptilian stuff that people cannot put in the comments when I say they are here pulling off our negative energy. They live off that. And this is a true story. So the other night, I'm at the part of the CIA Gateway experience where they're teaching you about food. Okay. So I'm thinking, all right, I'm already working on this new physical reality of who I am, for people can see it transform over time, that I no longer wanted to be that 400-pound YouTuber, and I'm no longer that. I'm this now. And it's all done up here, and then it comes into this reality. Well, I'm studying it, and so I'm like, okay, it's time. I want to fit here about what food I need to eat, because it says food energy. So I put on the headsets like I normally do. I sit back, get into my, focus 12, focus 10. I'm putting my energy light around me, my band. I'm scanning my body for injuries with the energy laps and colors and healing, doing all the things that I'm now trained to do. I step outside of my body. Well, I step into the conscious. I do my manifestation. That I'm, more than my physical body. I'm more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is out this physical world. So, and I'm calling in all the spirits for help, different people that I'm trying to channel into what I'm doing. So I get to this part where it says, okay, we're going to talk about food energy. And lo and behold, I'm closing my eyes, and they start talking about creating this light of energy to draw. And he said, once you learn more and more pulling, and this is CIA stuff, right? Governmental stuff. Once you learn to draw in that energy, you will feed off this positive energy, and you will need less physical food because you're now, and I'm telling you, I woke up the next day and I'm cleaning up, I'm doing stuff I normally don't do.
You had
But
energy.
but it confirmed the reptilian agenda that they create all this negative disparity and stuff that we have because they feed off of it. So if they're teaching me to feed off positive energy into this world, it now just makes sense. David Icke, all them people wasn't lying, even though I believed it and spoke about it. But I'm being trained now to draw off positive energy into my body for food. And that's exactly what the reptilians do. So this stuff is real. So
think of concerts. Think of the concerts. They're feeding off of the energy that is being created. Roderick, somebody says, what's the symbolism on his hat?
You know, it's kind of funny because I have this symbolism on my hat, and I have it on all of these. I have a whole merchandise line. I put it on the shirts. I don't sell any of the shirts, maybe one or two. I sell all the rest of them, and I advertise them like nobody buying it. And then I get all these little takes. Oh, what's this? Let me tell y'all what this is, and maybe it'll start a chain reaction. When I start going deeper into, and I think you and I talked about it, deeper into symbolism, I started studying symbolism like 20, 30 books over the last 6 months because I registered a trademark called the Symbolizer because I think it's the most hidden language and things that people don't know. It has educated me so much, changed my whole outlook in life, all the things, and that there are some things going on in this world we have no clue about. Okay.
Yes.
And it's in plain sight. And when it comes down, I started doing the out about, and then something said it's time for you to get protection. Now I'm already learning symbolism, circles, the magic of symbols, sigils. I'm learning the meaning of all these different ones, and knowing that there's in plain sights and corporate logos, from Starbucks. I've mentioned all of these different 7-Up, the chakras, 7 chakras. They're doing this. Pepsi, how everything is done, sacred geometry. We just don't know it, but our subconscious knows it. So when I started knowing that I was tapping into the underworld of stuff, and I'm now getting into areas where you don't come back from, and there's things that I can't tell everybody, because they just can't handle it. It's not going to go down that way.
They're not ready.
And it's so often because they put these weird stuff in the chat. Oh, you ain't said nothing. Brother, if I told some of the stuff that I know and deal with and how I see the world now from going into these other places. So anyway, I was mainly just kind of spirited to, it's time for you to need to put your protection. So here's the deal. I have never even told a story. So when I started looking for things, I started understanding there's a difference between truth and authority. That's the new branding. Truth, we think truth is our truth, but it's deeper than that now. Authority, at first I was thinking it was just anyone else that we believe in authority just because what they say is the truth. So we think an authority is truth when truth is the authority. But when I started learning now, the authority is the mind. The mind is what they control. The mind is what they deceive us with. The mind is how they play all the tricks. And we think our mind and what we see and think is right. We think, oh, just because I can see it and believe it. Oh, that is the craziest alternative today because it's what they're doing. So now I behind the scenes start working on truth. It's time to give people truth. It's consciousness. It's your infinite consciousness. You have to start believing into your intuition. You got to believe in all those subtle things that is nudging you, but you don't harness enough to believe it. But yet you see that in which they're altering our reality anyway. That's the whole point. So this symbol first starts with the color blue. Blue is not only the representation for water. Now, water, as I started learning symbolism, is the place where the hidden underworld is. It is in back in your back methodical days, water is the symbol where human life can't go, but life exists. That's just why the UFOs live in the water. We can't go there, not with that apparatus. We can't walk into there, right? But yet life exists, okay? But that's where I'm searching for information. So the triangle, the upside down triangle, is the representation for water. So So when I do have this on another color, I'm still representing water. So we got blue, we got the also the integrity. Blue is the throat chakra, is the water, is me speaking the truth to people from there. The other part is there's a little owl right there for wisdom, night, knowledge, all of those things. There is 2 fish. Even though I'm a Pisces, fish is the only animal or that can go between both sides. You know, they can go into the underworld to seek the hidden knowledge and everything else. And so I have to be protected when I go there. Up here, I have the 2 fasci symbols. Now, this is something that's really, fasci was the Roman things. And of course, it's the big sticks. You wrap it together. And what that was back in the days in the Acts was the symbolism for the power of God. So the Acts, what it was, when every time they conquered a city, you are now under our rule and we grow stronger and stronger. So if you ever remember the movie Planet of the Apes, and I'll bring this home for y'all, we're not going to but the Planet of the Apes, Caesar told the apes, he says, 1 ape they can break, but together, remember he banned all the sticks, they can't break us. So the fasci symbol is meaning unity. So I put it here as the X as the spot. There's a eye right here on my pineal gland anyway. It's the all-seeing eye, which is there. But that X also and that fascia is saying it is time for us to collaborate together to fight against them, the elites and people who are holding us back. The other part of this is you can go to our government right now, everybody. Go look at the Speaker of the House when they speak. You're going to see 2 fasci symbols on both sides of the United States government when anybody, president, anybody speak. That is the symbol that we don't know, y'all don't know, that they're telling everybody they're on the same team, the people. They don't matter if it's the Republicans or Democrats. They're on the same team. There's a cabal above them that control it all. And that fasci is the reminder that there's one for them, and they both have the bands that they're controlling the people, and they know this. This is their symbol. Symbols are everywhere. We just don't know it, but they got us fighting in elections. They already know who's going to win. They already know who's going to do this. All this stuff is done. But anyway, back to this. So it's all in a circle. The circle is your protection. So I now know there's a lot of truth seekers. And because I activated this, I did the ritual to have it done. It was so dramatic. I did all the candles, I did all the work, and then I took it outside and you burn it to activate it. And I just so happened to lit this thing and it went right into the eye, Courtney, right? And it burned evenly. It was like, it was so magical. And then it just went in the air. I'm like, this shit is real. Sugar honey iced tea. I'm sorry. This sugar honey iced tea is real.
This stuff is real. That's okay.
Yeah. And so I put those things together. And so I started sticking it on the shirts because I knew the people who were in our audience and in our thing needed protection. They didn't know this, though. They didn't know when they're asking these questions, digging deep, that there's some stuff out there that don't want you to go that far. So I deliberately started putting the protection, and I would get this feedback. Oh, that's some Lucifer. And I'm like, they have no clue. And like I said, they don't buy them because they don't know, because they think I'm just trying to. But no, this is real. The stuff is real. It's out there. We have to. And so that's just part of it. But this symbol has a lot more of the deeper meanings. But it's all for protection for those of us who are going to the other side, seeking knowledge and things that we're not supposed to know, and to reverberate out to society because they just don't want you to know. And that's when you start thinking about occult knowledge. It is not so much occult being bad. It just means occult means secret knowledge. But because they have the knowledge that we don't know, that's how they're able to do. So I'm studying natural laws, which is some of the most powerful stuff that every human, no matter on this planet, no matter what it is, you cannot evade natural laws. They use natural laws against us. And so that's where I'm at today. And let me land that plane.
Well, but that symbol, in the paintings, I've also worked with signs and symbols for so many years. And when you told me, a year and a half or whenever it was, that you were getting deeper into that, maybe even 2 years ago, I'm not sure, I don't remember. But when you had said that, I thought, wow, there's so much kinship there, and so such a parallel theme of knowledge seeking, if you will, between us as human beings, if you will. And so I say often that to end up, understanding yourself, you will learn what truth feels like in your body. And
Yeah.
that once we can feel what peace feels like, that's why when we're greeted with another person, we will be able to feel what truth feels like to us. So our truth may be different than the next person's truth, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
guys. Just because we're like, okay, that's my truth, that doesn't mean that that's the truth for everybody
There you go.
for
That's
for
what I meant to
eternity.
say, because people
Right?
do that. And I'm
They
sorry to interject.
fight.
They fight because the worst people, Courtney, is the people now that I've realized that a person that believes something to be true all their lives,
Mm-hmm.
and when you hand them enough information to contradict that truth that now is untrue, that they're unable to convert in their mind. And the same thing for somebody who thought something was untrue and get enough information. It could be about a loved one, it could be about anybody, right? And they find out that it is true and they can convert. So that's cognitive dissonance, right? And they can't bring that stuff in alignment. So that goes to where somebody who sees me today, who haven't seen me in 20 years, they still think I'm that person they met 20 years ago, and they cannot adapt to the new me today, the new truth I am today, the reality, right? And so we run into people like that. And we got people in our families that can't take that new trip with you because you have now grown, you have changed, you have evolved, and you have a new truth, and they still are connected to the old truth. And now there's a battle that ensues, but the battle is only yours if you stay over there to battle with them. And you have to leave with them. But you asked a question about the UFO and the fear and why I think. So that's why I got into all of this.
I love it.
Yeah, see, my memory is getting better too.
Listen, you know how to circle it back around.
That's
you know
why
how
I said,
to circle it back around.
actually, what I do now, and they can't see, I got all these screens and stuff, but I visualize me. I'll use the word, I'm taking a detour. That's my mind to tell me we detour and we got to get back on track, not two detours.
That's right.
I visualize putting that thought sitting up here. And if y'all really knows, I looked up to grab it back to now bring it back into the conversation, right? It's just crazy stuff, man, but it works. I think now that what we're starting to realize is that not all of these sightings and things are friendly. Because now I start to know is that there's no way somebody can abduct somebody against their will, bring them back, and we think that's a polite situation, right?
Right.
That is not the deal. Somebody taking you, going to go work on you, poke you, stick you, and do these things against your free will is not a good thing. And they're doing this. People are getting abducted all day long, right?
And it's traumatic. And it's
traumatic.
And that's why you talk to some people who are so excited about it and think it's the greatest thing. And in some cases, yes, the advancement of that, the incoming.
That's the greatest when they bring them back, but ask the ones who don't ever come back. So
ask the ones that went and came back and had that experience. They're also not happy about it. But anyway.
Yeah. And so then you think about, I think about the muddy boot print theory that Lou Elizondo spoke about. And this is just true story, and you and I, and so I'm going to use you, for example, in part of the story. It's your show.
Please.
So right now you're at your home, Ethan is gone. He's out doing what he's doing tonight.
Yep.
The dog is in there, but you don't have a pit bull. It's a poodle. It do not bite. Okay. All right. So you done set the alarm in the house for protection. You right now, you go and you walk to the door and you look across the street. There is a figure sitting over there. All you can see is his red eyes, but you see the shadowy figure. You look and see the alarm says green or red is armed. So you feeling, hey, we did. He waves his hand and then your alarm disarmed. Boop. And you're like, what the? And then you put it back on. He ain't came in the house at all. He just boop, turns it off. And you're supposed to think just because he has not come in that there's no danger. Just because they fly around, but yet they evade, they turn off our nuclear weapons, they outrun anything from the speed of light. They can go from here to over there in split seconds, evade radar systems. But just because they hadn't did nothing, they're nice. But what if they do? And when did they decide to do? Or the ones that are not nice?
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem that I have, and that's what I now have grown to know, because we're dealing with technology and things that's so far superior than what we have. That's what scares our government, because if they told the people we can't protect ourselves, that there's something flying around that we can't pick up, see, and is moving, and it's transmedium, it's coming from space, air, water. All our airplanes got propulsion, people, that you see fire. Fire doesn't work in water. So we don't have nothing that's going to go from there, in there, come back out and go there. Not in modern day that we know, right?
Yeah.
But these things are totally different, and they can take you at will. They can do all. Now, I'm not trying to spread fear, and I know that there's good ones protecting us too. But I'm saying is that I just don't dig the theory now that this is Kumbaya time.
I know. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with you. And the reason why what's so crazy is that the reason why full disclosure isn't, I believe it's because, we're still paying taxes. We're still paying, we're still doing all of these other things that, dang it, they want, somebody says, so part of the evil empire. Yeah. And so they don't want us to let go of those systems that they have created for us just yet. Yeah. And so we'd literally be going all the way back to the, to the Amish and to taking care of our families. We'd really be coming back to heart, to, having those gardens. We'd be taking care of ourselves and not really relying on them any longer. And by us relying on them, they have us trapped.
And that is part of the system that I started learning when it came down to religion. I grew up Christian all of my life.
Me too.
I have not decided that I'm no longer Christian, but I don't go to Christian church. So it's a decision, right? But I am learning that when I start looking up the story of Jesus and all these things, and that there's 26 cultures that have the same story, the same born in a virgin, the same blueprint, right? And then we're here to, and I'm not saying that there's not a God. There is, and Jesus is in the book. I'm not saying that there's no truth.
Right.
However, there's some twisted stuff that we need to look at. But the whole point is, we're here walking around every day being controlled by something that we think it existed, that's watching us 24/7, 12, 365 plus OT. And that we still also have to pay for the protection of that, through tithes and offering, pay through sacrifice, pay through emotional, and yet we ask for those forgiveness and all those things. And instead of living the moral of natural law, which things you just don't supposed to do, which could govern the whole world, right?
Right.
So the money side of that was designed to make the people rich at some point, right? Some wealthy people, because we're all paying to the system, to whether we're paying taxes, whether we're paying whatever. And so I think when we start thinking about UFOs, and I'll tell anybody, I've seen, I don't know, hundreds of UFO videos. I've seen photos. I've seen government stuff that was leaked to me. I've seen all kind of stuff. I never, Courtney, saw a UFO stop for gas, ever.
Right.
I never seen one stop for gas.
What? Yeah,
I have so imagine them telling us that there's a way to drive around with no gas.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, economically, even with wars all over the world, they still buy oil from each other on the other side. They bombing and buying oil. The same, all of them are bombing each other, but they're buying oil still, and they do war with rules. And we think it's a war going on. They got a war with rules. Now, there's some collateral damages. All this stuff is orchestrated, and we just on the other side, and we can't see because our minds is blind, and that's what's happening.
I agree with you, my friend. I see so many other people in the comment thread also agreeing with you with the conversation tonight. And it is something that I do think that this is the way I see it. I do feel we're looking into, the next phase of what this could look like. How it feels to me is I do feel that they have been watching, witnessing, and even viewing us being in our I mean, we know that many of us have had different experiences through the years, but I believe that, they have been in our airspace, call them, being cloaked, invisible, all the things for a very long time. We've had so many different mysterious things happen with planes. I'm a firm believer that I believe that they're actually involved, or they're moving into another dimension. It's just really interesting. I do feel as though they're going to make themselves more known. And while we're seeing more crafts coming into our view, into so many different cities right now around the planet, and I believe that I could see them coming and allowing themselves to be seen and viewed and parked in a way. You understand? And so, yeah. How do you feel about that?
Great question. What I've learned through several books, and then I've actually found some great alien. There's one book out there I dare to mention that is one of the realest things that an alien tells everything about an economic system, the whole 9 yards, right? And I'll tell you in private.
Okay.
I don't want to draw the author to be a bestseller tomorrow.
Got it.
not
tomorrow, not so soon.
But it exists. But two things that collaborated a lot of stuff that I read was that the question was asked, why don't we see certain things to the alien? And it made so much simple sense, because we don't believe it. And here's why I know the example is real. You're going to get a lot of people, and I deal with a lot of people that saw a UFO, then all of a sudden they start seeing them all the time. Now, one would think, okay, when I first got into this thing years ago, at first I was like, yeah, that's not. But now I know it's true. It is 100% true, because what happens is their vibration now that they're able to see has now revealed itself to their spectrum of where they are mentally. And now they can accept it. So it's go back to what you just said. They're getting us ready and prepared. That is what they're doing. Okay?
Yes.
And it's no different than any of us have experienced this. So I'll bring it down to a smaller term. Any of us have gotten a new car, and all of a sudden you start seeing every one of those same cars everywhere you go now that you got one. That is the perfect example for you to know, only because now your vibrational focus has now set your mind to see this Chrysler because you got one, and you stare at it every time you walk off, close the door, to know it's yours, it's still in the driveway, they hadn't repoed it yet, all that kind of stuff, right? And so, at least that's what I went through. So just me. So you look at this thing constantly. So you have now trained your mind in a clouded world to identify like it's the Matrix. When one drives down the street, there it is. So when you begin to watch, and then another thing is that our predatory vision is this way, and then we ain't walking around. I tell people, just look up. You'll see them. Who walks around like this every day? You know what I'm saying? That's why you don't see them. You looking this way. They're up there.
Or wait, we're looking this way.
Yeah. And so that's one of the biggest distractions they got too.
Right.
So the point is, back in right before Trump left or whatever, there was an Israeli prime minister who made the announcement and said that the aliens told our world leader, it is time for us to begin to get ready to accept that they exist. Now, you cannot do this in a 24-hour press conference. You cannot do this in a 7-day press conference. You can't lose the pounds that I want to lose tomorrow that took me 8 years to gain. Okay. As much as I want to go out and run tomorrow or get a knife and just shave it off, it just doesn't work that way. Right.
Right.
So they have to gradually, it's that frog theory, Courtney, where you can take a frog, throw him in hot water, you're going to jump out. But if you put him in that cold water and turn it up gradually, he'll die in it. Right.
That's what's happening.
This is why we're seeing why it's becoming main place in the news. It is desynthesizing us from the mysterious side of it, that is going to be a normal conversation, especially for what is getting ready to come. Should I hint to you, everybody, or not? There is something on its way. They're hiding it right now. They've been trying to leak it out, but we are going to have a look-see real soon of some folks that don't come from here. We can tie it back to the rumor or conspiracy of the Muir, the rock that was in our atmosphere. They thought maybe it was an asteroid. Y'all remember? Go look it up. All you can Google it right now. Avi Loeb was one of the ones who did some information on it. They still try to debunk it, but here's the problem. When that thing came, it was an asteroid. It looked like an asteroid, we thought. Well, when it got into our atmosphere, which is supposed to pass by and do the things that things do or meteors do, it didn't do that. It circled around Earth, and as though it spotted us, and it went back in a faster pace, as though, hey, we got it, and they left. Right after that happened, we formed a Space Force immediately years ago. Trump, they signed it. Let's go. We got some issues here. Our world governments has all been working together. Well, the rumor has it, I did a story on it. It's on the video. I try to tell people in the best way that I can to keep it conspiratorial, that James Webb supposedly have spotted a brigade of things that is heading our way and is not moving like a normal asteroid. Now, when we see things that far away, that's light years, but it could take years for it to get here, but it comes, right? So we're preparing for a lot of stuff, but it doesn't mean that they're coming to attack. It's just somebody could be passing by and say, "Oh shit, there's some humans over there. Let's go."
Let them know we're here. We're all family coming to the cookout. I think about it in terms of our children as well. Anderson, my little one, and she hears. She's not oblivious to the work that I do and the conversations that are had.
And that's my friend. She is. You have done such a good job in improving yourself with her. Oh,
thank you. I think that was a compliment. I'm not sure.
That is the biggest compliment at all. If we can make our children a better version of us, we have done a great job.
Thank you.
Best believe you have improved yourself royally with her. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. She's pretty smart little girl. That's for sure. She's got it. And she's not too off from having her own podcast. Let me tell you that. But
yeah, we're going to do
that. We are. But think about that. I mean, these children are also, we had our experiences. Think of the generations after us, how if we think we're numb to this, disclosure, think about how these kiddos are going to be once they become our age. It's not going to be any big deal. Think of what is that? I can't believe I can't remember the name, but the series with Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm mortified. I can't remember the movie.
Star Wars?
Thank you. I was like, this is a big one. I'm sitting here forgetting it. Listen, I needed your help, my friend. Okay.
Even the spirits of Star Wars should have hit you with that one. Like,
I know.
One of them would have been, give it an S, give her a T, give her a, they would have did a clue for that one for you.
Listen, Melissa gave it to me too. Thank you, my friend. Right. Well, listen, think about that scene in the bar, right?
Oh, when you walk in and all those species and they was in there jamming. I think about that one all the time, if that's the one you're talking about.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. There's, this guy and that guy and a robot and a furry guy and a human being. And, there's just, I think that's exactly where we're going. And so it's just really, really interesting. Oh, we've got somebody from Paris. I was just there a few months ago. And I loved it. It was beautiful. And so anyway, it is really interesting. I do think that is what they're after. I do believe, again, that just as much good is out there. There is that equivalent to negative on the extraterrestrial end as well. Yeah. And I do, somebody earlier said, but could they be demons? Well, yes. I mean, I think that some could, yes, be in that form. Thank you, Praise 7. You always support this podcast. Let me tell you, it is so appreciated. I love you. And those of you, even when you can't donate or give, I love you too. But Praise 7, you show up and you support us, and it means the world to me. We are working on making this podcast better with equipment. Yeah. And all the things Roderick knows, we're all working together.
Hey, we're working on it. One of the things that you kind of the segue into or lead into what you were saying, and I think people need to understand. When I said something about your daughter being the better version of you. And when you think about that, so imagine the people that dropped us off here and we're not the better version of what they thought we should be. As humans, as mankind. How do we turn to this vicious thing, these killers, this whole bad energy type system? And the disappointment of that when they come back to say, well, what the heck has happened here? So when we think about all of this, and one of the things that the alien talked about was that, and I've said it before, that Earth is this prison planet, and that all of it, the way they explained it, that in the universe, that they know that Earth is kind of this place that's kind of off limits to everybody. It's the like a game reserved to where things are tested. So these rich, whatever, and I can't comprehend this, but just listen, that these other places say, okay, I want to create this, I want to create that. And so therefore it's done here on Earth. That's why we have all of these things. But the blueprint is the same, if you think about it. Everything, no matter fish, spiders, bugs, whatever, they all got 2 eyes, a nose, an ear. So somebody knew that worked. And, and they start building from there. But the other part of this is that being this prison planet also is where they talk about our souls being trapped here, or why we got the soul trap there. And people have been talking about seeing this soul net that you're now starting to hear on social media come up. And I've learned about that 2 years ago, that there's a soul net that traps things, and how and reason why the Anunnaki in the beginning, where the ones that they lost, why they're coming back for them, because the way she said it, the alien said they got trapped here in the soul net, and they've been here and they can't get them out. And that's a whole nother story I can tell you today.
Okay, so that's a whole nother podcast. I'm gonna write that down. I'm like, my assistant's listening tonight. Soul Net, we're highlighting that because I had a vision in an ayahuasca experience 15 years ago.
Really?
And yes, and it was a beautiful experience, but the image and the connection, you could describe it as a soul net. So that just made me go,
Yeah, there you go. She talked about it. She explained it. She explained how it works, how we reincarnated, and why, you hear some people say this is your last time here. You're kind of getting out. Why the rich people are knowing that they're trying to get off the planet to make us an interplanetary species, so that you're not trapped in the soul net when you die. So they know this to get away from here. So I can tell some people stuff that I've got the information on that would just crack some people up.
Right.
Here's what happened. About a year ago, well, not a year ago, about 4 months ago, I had met somebody who walked up to me at a place, and they told me about what I was doing, some job, not the experience that I had when I told you I went to the mountains. That was profound. Yes. But the other part was, I was given an opportunity to have some information, and they was like, hey, you want to make a donation to our foundation? I'm like, dude, they just after money. And he said, if you make a donation, we're going to give you something that you need to copy it, put it in a safe deposit box, and you put this stuff up. So anyway, I get this disk drive. It is 2 terabytes. The thing has, I don't know, 20,000 audio files, 5,000 videos, 10,000 books of tracking everybody around here. Everybody who's talking about anything with conspiracy, that stuff is on there. Stuff you can learn, hidden stuff that you don't know in the information. And within there, I started looking at, you can't go through it all, but I just started seeing stuff that was just unreal. Private court cases where people actually doctors going to court, filming that they're telling the judges what's in chemtrails, what they're got, what's free. They work for the companies. I'm like, man, you can get killed for this stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, people have been killed for that stuff. Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, whoa.
Yep.
So I had another friend of mine. I told him recently, he asked it, and I told him about it. He was like, hey man, I would have went in on you. Cause I told him, I said, it cost $1 million to help him out. And I said, yeah, if you had went half with me, I would have copied. But now I told him, no, I said, man, I put literally, I'm going to give this to my kids. Somebody, they can learn from it. Now I'm getting ready to start doing podcasts and things that I do with some of the information, because I'm putting it out there, the truth versus authority, right? And that spread everything from the natural laws or universal laws, but the natural laws and all that stuff. So I started learning all this stuff. But where I'm going with this is the information is out there, hidden in plain sight. This world is totally different than what we think. The aliens said that we're so caught up into believing the Adam and Eve story that we all came from two people, right? You know, just imagine just you and you and hubby. Just we're just going to sit on the island. We're going to have kids, and what they look like 3 generations down, right?
Right.
And how do they change colors and races and all that? And they came from 2 people, right? So, and we believe that. We walk around and believe it, okay? And just as much as we tell our kids to believe in Santa Claus, and they know we bought the toy, but they just play along with it, right? So she said that the alien said that they put something on the planet. There's an animal that walks around right now. They put here for us to know that we were genetically made. And it's there. It exists. I can tell everybody what it is right now. It's an animal on this planet that defies all odds and things that you think would work. But that is our indicator, if we wanted to comprehend this, that we were engineered to be here. Do they want to know? Give a donation. I'll tell them.
I know, right? There you go.
I'll tell y'all anyway, but just help us.
He's like, well, for a price. Look at him. It's interesting. I think that
somebody tell us a pig. No, that pig would be eating that bad boy. But go ahead.
Right. What's interesting to me is, and you touch on that for a moment, and the level of constant research and healing and truth finding that you're committed to, that I know I'm committed to, is something that actually, that is what brings us together as family. Let me tell you, it's something that excites me because
they going at it. Bigfoot, stork,
an octopus.
I better tell y'all before y'all quit.
I know, right? Stork.
Whoever taking me out on the next date, I'll tell you on the date.
Oh,
hey, women, of course. Hey, baby.
Wait just a second,
baby. Here, baby.
We should auction off a date with Rodri.
No, we're not going to do that. But anyway, the answer is right there. No, I've learned my lesson there. You can't see people in our audience. We can't do that.
Right. I know. I take it back.
I've learned the hardest, hurtful lessons of trying to connect with on a listener, a relationship with a listener. Yeah. Yes. I know the chemistry of it now. I get it. It is 2 sides of what y'all see here and what you see over there. And I do not want to disappoint you to know that we human. I'm human, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, forget it. Just love me from here. Just love me for what you see.
Oh, Stephen Ross. Thank you, my friend. Yeah. Stephen Ross. You better tell us what animal that is.
Tea. All right. So, you put it up. Okay. So here it is. It is the duck-billed platypus. There was a couple of people put in there. And she said it. She said, you got an animal with a duck bill, duck feet, a beaver tail, body, lay eggs, but the eggs they're marsupial or whatever you want to call them. But you can't interchange a mammal with a bird. They doesn't work. So they put that on here to show us it's walking around. It's got duck feet, the duck nose, a beaver tail, hair, and all that living. And it's like that was made up. Period. Just somebody trying something. And what she said was, there's these companies. One is called Blossoms and whatever, who created we call it Mother Nature, but they create flowers. So that's their creation, and they put these on other planets, but everything is tested here on Earth. In order for their flowers to work, they then manufacture something called the bee. The bee helps their product move around. That's why everything is so synergized. Everything is so, it works as an ecosystem, the plan of all of that, and she tells so many of the stories and talks about the corporations, the banking systems, of course, as we go into the financial sides and all that. But it makes sense to where we begin to understand life. And, I see things a little different. But again, back to UFOs, the sightings, we're seeing them now because people mindset and vibrations are changing. We're bringing more awareness now. If you give me an opportunity to say what I want to say next, please.
Yes.
All right. So I took a lot of beating for this, a lot, but there are some people in your audience who are behind me on this. I came out with something called Project Black last year. I was marketing heavily, trying to get people, because Project Black was an acronym for the Black League of Alien Contact Knowledge. It wasn't to exclude anybody. It's an exclusive thing. But what I've noticed in my particular community, as I started doing 400 interviews, talking to people, there is a huge disconnect in the African-American community talking about this subject. It's a taboo subject based on Christianity. We have so many barriers there. Okay, I'm just using in my culture.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fear that I gathered was because of where we're going in the future. Jeff Bezos, all these people say that there's going to be a new space economy. The economy is coming. I fear that there's going to be people. See, let me use you for example. Because you deal with so much stuff, your daughter is so prepared for the unknown, the unexplained, the mysteries. There's going to be a lot of kids because they're going to they don't have to be astronauts to go to space in 10 or 15 years.
Right.
They're going to be going there, space tourism, hotel, all these businesses in space. They're going to look out the window and they're going to see something. Your daughter's going to be like, there's going to be some kids in my community is going to be freaking out mentally because their mom told them ain't nothing up there but heaven. And there's a mansion sitting up there and that's it. And there's nothing out there in space. And they're not going to comprehend life outside of this thing. And they're going to be messed up because we're taught by our parents. You get what I'm saying? So I'm like, we got to start the conversation in our community. We have to get it where it's a conversation. Now, to do that would require people in the community to have those experiences that we can openly talk about. Now, we got a lot of wealthy people, Shaq, a lot of that, who now saying something about his UFO encounter. There's a few other ones, but he would say in the beginning he wasn't going to do it. It would hurt his money because he was meant off to be crazy. But I know there's a lot of people in our community that experienced it. And so I started this thing where I wanted us to come forward. Now, like I say, there's a lot of people that's non-African. We talking minorities, we talking whoever. And I go to a conference this year. They invited me to talk about Project Black. I'm standing in there, and there's 2 Black people in the room. There's 900 non-African American people, and I'm telling them about what's going on. And the guy says to me, he shout me out in front of everybody. Well, what are you trying to be racist about a UFO thing? I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, if we are all truth seekers, and let's picture this pie, and the pie is colors of our ethnicity, of who we are,
right?
Giving information to the truth. Now, if you got this pie over here that is empty because we don't talk about it in our community, you can't claim that you got the truth. You don't know everything. You can't, but you want to walk around that you do. But we're missing information. We're missing experiences. We're missing stuff that if we all work together as a collective, we can get a better understanding of what's happening. So I told him, I'm just trying to get more information at a place that is not talking about it.
Well, in that where people can, first of all, I have a dear friend. I just spoke with her yesterday. She's a psychologist in Detroit. She's been a client of mine for over 10 years. I teach at her retreat. She's wonderful. I remember when she first was working with me, and she too is well connected to her spirit, her soul, her understanding, higher consciousness, all the things. She was, strictly psychologist, but now she has a beautiful wellness center. She does sound baths. She just has an album that's about to go out. She loves numbers and numerology. Like, she has really melded all of it into one thing. Now, let me tell you this. There are so many people.
Somebody put a heart in it. It ain't for me.
Oh, well, that's Mr. Brinkley. Thank you, Mr. Brinkley.
It is not for
me. We'll highlight that heart. Thanks, babe. We appreciate it.
Oh, is there you said there is no such thing as government something that was on there. It was on Ethan's name. He put a note on his picture.
Oh, he did? Ethan did? Oh.
Yeah, see, that's how secret messages are sent.
I know, I had to take it off real quick. I was like, what does that say? I don't know. He said, hey, guys.
Thing as government something and you're
all right, I'm taking it off.
You keep taking it down. He didn't say he's going to meet you tonight. What y'all are doing. It was nothing. I scanned it first.
I don't know what it says. So
I scanned it first to make sure it wasn't no special note to you.
Oh, listen, those notes aren't being, yes. Anywho.
I deliberately scanned it first. And then once I saw it was a general for all of us, I put it up there.
Somebody's speaking about there being 444 people in here. They're saying crazy. Let me tell you, I've seen it come across a few times tonight. It has hit 444 a couple of times. Thank you for noticing, my friend. But I want to say, in terms of my friend, she is a beautiful African American woman. Like she's amazing. But let me tell you that her speaking out on metaphysical, on the spiritual, on the wellness, on the connection, doing sound baths in her wellness center, it has helped that community come up and rise.
See, that's
and
a different story,
up.
though, Courtney.
But why is it different?
Because we're talking about something that, what's the word I'm looking for? Systemic areas will paint you already crazy and already crazy.
Yes.
So when you're talking about stereotypes and okay, kumbaya, metaphysics and all that, people can deal with that because you can hear it, see it, feel it. But when you start talking about an alien, or I've been abducted last night, or there's something in a planet.
I take it back. You're right. I take it back. You're right.
She could get past that. She will get past go and collect $200 and not go to jail.
Well, you're right, because let me just say that there were some, and I'm not calling her out, but there were some that even when I started on this channel or connecting and being open about those experiences, there were a little bit of like the side eye.
See, now we're gonna do a little Jordan Maxwell, okay? We're going to do a little Jordan Maxwell. He called the word currency because things current money flows. Now, Ethan just gave to the show, which is going to come back to you, which goes back to him. So I'm like, that's a good move, my man. But it comes back to you missing 40%, though, because YouTube gets 40%.
Exactly.
So how will you just save that one and just give her a kiss and some candy and all that stuff?
Exactly.
That's a loss. That is a true investment loss.
It's a good one. That's all that support. I love it.
But it's good. But that's an investment loss on that one.
Well, I understand what you're saying.
He said an even split.
It is an even split.
Yeah,
it's I mean, he loses about 40% anyway with me, right? I'm just kidding. So anyway, it is interesting. I mean, because again, it took a long time for me to come out of that closet, and it was more so people in my community that were talking about this out loud. And so I actually applaud you with that. I think Project Black is absolute. I thought it was genius, and I thought it gave.
Well, I mean, it's turning out to be something big after all, right? We talked about that later, but not now. But it is. And what I was going to say, Courtney, was that. So when he put me on the spot, he really tried to rag me in front of everybody. And so I said, I'll tell you what. I said, it was 800 people, and I said, I want all of you put your hands up if you heard of in the mainstream media stories that have minority of people in it. I mean, real life UFO story. The whole thing went up. I was like, okay. First of all, put down your hand if you're talking about Betty and Barney Hill. Shit, 90% went down. Then I said, so any more? So you're going to tell me 50,000 versus 2 is equal? And understanding what's happening out here? Give me a break. And that's what he was doing. Oh, you ain't ever heard of Betty and Barney Hill? And that was an interracial couple. It was 50-50. And she was well known. He wouldn't, without her prestigiousness tagged to that, you wouldn't have heard about his story. That was a 50-50 deal. And they was doing something that was unheard of, being interracial at a time that it was not cool. Right. So, come on now. Give me, anyway, I would just tell them.
So let's just say this. So even though we're talking about that, to me, we're still on the topic of the reason why these crafts are showing up. They're showing up so that we can all, I believe at the higher end, understand that, yes, there is something else happening. In a way, those of us that are meant to come together, to share, to grow, to also even get the word out, right? Are meant to come together and realize we're also in this together. We're family, right? Heal, speak up, and then, maybe prepare for what's on the other end of that.
Well, I mean, it's preparation is everything. I think that if an alien showed up today and stood out in front, there will be a segment, there will be a random, a lot of people not dealing with it, but there will be some community things that will not go down because, once again, it's just the way most of my community is brought up in church. The way I was, and the truth. I mean, last Thanksgiving and one before, I had a book with Communion, which is Whitley Strieber's book that has an alien head on it. Now we're talking Thanksgiving. I had it over near the microwave. My mom walked in and she froze out of fear. She just stood there and she said, you know, move the book. So I'm thinking, oh, it's in front of the microwave. She can't put the food in there. So I said, Mama, just hand it to me. She just kept saying, staring, move the book, move the book. And I realized at that moment, this is a traumatic moment for my mother.
Wow.
And I picked this book up and I moved it because she has been head on the Lord is the Lord, right? And you know, our house on a Sunday, you know, we didn't have to go to church. In fact, it was just, you know, anyway, long story. But the whole point I'm saying is, you know, we got whoopings in the name of the Lord when I was
yeah, I did too.
I mean, how do you love him? And
with a leather belt with holes
she's
down
whooping me through you, and I'm supposed to now give you my $10 this Sunday too? Come on, man. You know, so anyway, so she was just drawn out the water in this thing. And that's how significant this mental picture of this. And although the word is the word, the book is the book, you know, and I was just talking to a group of people recently and people was like, you know, well, you know, I said, well, go to the Bible. Go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Let's make man in our image. If Paige come home and tell you that our is singular, you're going to say, no, baby, our means our family. You're going to give an example. Our family is poor. Ourselves are having. So when the Bible itself says, let's make man in our image or in the likeness of ourselves, who is saying that?
It's plural. Yes.
It's plural.
That's
plural.
true. Yeah.
So it's not a singular person. Okay, it's the Spirit, the Holy Ghost, the Spirit, and all that. But anyway, no, we're going to make men in our image. That's a group of people making a decision for a group of folks saying we're going to make them. And so this is the problem when people say, what do they look like? And I say, well, what if we look like them? That's why they can walk among us. It makes sense. What if we look like them? It's the perfect plan. Why not? So
and they do walk among us.
They do walk among us. They walk among us like it ain't nothing. And it's no different if somebody walked up and tell you, hey, you're so beautiful, Courtney. You look just like your daughter. And you're going to correct them. No, she looks like me. I created her. I don't look like her.
Yes, that's right. That's like right. That little tan, she's so tan drives. Yes. I mean, little cutie patootie. Anyway. Well, Roderick,
that's it. You know, I'm just throwing some dirt today.
I appreciate you always, your vision, your information, your shared conversation, and
hey, we're good.
Intellect.
Well, when we do it, and then we're doing our podcast together, we just haven't figured it out, y'all. We're gonna do a psychic conspiracy podcast.
Yes,
so we're working on it. We're working on the themes and some stuff. So y'all get ready. We just don't know when. I just know we talked about it, but I don't know.
It's done. It's done. We've got to get the details down, and it's going to be exciting. I can't wait, and I know you guys will love it. Roderick, where can people find you? I know that my listeners, you have listeners on my podcast that listen to you. I have them on yours that listen to me. Where can people tonight find you?
All right, so I have an 800 number. Look, I got my little cup. I know, right? Look at that, my true.
There you go. Go get that hat.
Yeah, you can find me on. Damn, where am I? Well,
you're on your own personal YouTube channel.
Yeah, you can find me on just search Roderick Martin and I'll pop up. That's the YouTube channel. So you'll see me doing some stuff there. I have an 800 number, 888-345-9121. And what that is for is a hotline for UFO business stuff. Now, I did start a new channel called Project Black, which is up. There are some people in here, Charles, and a lot of people I need to reach out to, because we got a lot of people now. We're ready to start doing interviews with people. I got a few others. So we'll start doing live stuff there, talking about this. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be Black. I didn't say that at all, because a lot of you have African-American friends you can't even talk to this about. So we're going to bridge all this stuff together. It's just that we're just trying to make a place comfortable where people will come forward to share their experiences, and that just didn't happen. So anyway, you can find me at YouTube. So
give me the phone number one more time, 888. I'm putting it in the thread.
You put it in the thread? I'm going to do better than that. Hang on.
Oh, okay, good. You've got it up. Okay.
I'm going to, let me find, oh, here you go. This is yours. So I'm going to do this right now. Hang on.
I love it.
I got you.
So again, guys, we've got lots of different things coming up, different offers. It's going to be really lots of education coming. And I'm really excited about, I know the things that I'll be offering as far as development and even more community, all of that. Roderick, that podcast we're talking about doing, it's going to be so much fun. And to be able to have that blend of conversation on the regular is going to be a really, really good time. So I can't wait until we get all of that.
What is that?
Look at that hotline, guys, 888-345-9121, UFO High Strangeness.
There you
go. That is where you contact our man, Roderick Martin. Friends, you find me over on, of course, this channel, but then over on my personal channel.
There you go.
And website, CourtneyKaneSides.com. Thank you, my friend. And on my YouTube channel, The Cosmically Connected with Courtney Kane Sides. Look at you. And yes, join that VIP Inner Circle. Roderick, we're such a good team. Friends, I love you so much. Roderick, you stay here with me, and we will see you next week, my friends. Bye.
All righty.
I hope that you'll come over and join my VIP Inner Circle at CourtneyKaneSides.com. It's a beautiful group where we meet twice a month for an hour and a half, and there's so many really cool goodies in there. You're going to be learning about your own intuition, your own connection with your own, the way that you receive information, but also different healers and thought leaders from across the planet come in as guests too. So it's a place where we learn together and we grow in all areas of our life. Allowing yourself to share these experiences that you're moving through. You're going through an awakening. You've been connecting to your own guides and angels, and you're maybe even simply just wanting to know more. This is a beautiful place for you to connect, and I can't wait to see you there.